Hey everybody, welcome back. You know, you think about kind of like the video that's uploaded. I don't know which one you're going to come across for it, so I'm not doing a part 2 or part anything like that. But my thing is this. You know, you think about the time frame, you think about where we are, you think about what Jesus has done when he's on this earth, okay? You think about how much time with Jesus, you go into the book of Acts, and it speaks a lot about this. Think about how we get so confused and so caught up that our spirit, our soul, and, you know, the flesh, and all these things that we doubt. But you think about this, okay? Now hold on a second. Think about this for a split moment. We know when Jesus was baptized, God poured his spirit into Jesus. So God can't pour his spirit into God. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. No, I'm not going on that because I've spoken enough. I mean, you can believe what you want to believe. Like I said, when you get there, you'll understand exactly. God is God, Jesus is Jesus. God had to pour his spirit into Jesus, so when Jesus sent the helpmate of us, the Spirit, what we call the Holy Spirit of Jesus in him, he says, it's best that I go, that I can send the helper to basically be everywhere, because he couldn't, because he was human. So, that's not where I'm going with this. You think about what happened. Jesus went where? Into the wilderness. So if he went into the wilderness for 40 days, we know Jesus spent, and the angels came to nurse him back to health. Now, if he didn't drink or didn't eat for 40 days, he's the only person that I know that survived 40 days of no water, 40 days of no food. But he also defeated, as Lucifer brought the word, Jesus used the word to defeat him. Lucifer's clever, he uses the word, but he changes some of the words. Still not where I'm going with this. So after that, Jesus did what? He started this ministry. Shortly after that, what did Jesus do? He did the Sermon on the Mount. So if he went through there, we know shortly after that what took place. The arrest. What took place after that? The beating. What took place after that? The walk to the crucifixion. What took place after that? Darkness. All sin. One sin after the next and the next entered Jesus. What took place after that? He surrendered his life to God, the Father. What took place after that? The grave. What took place after that? Jesus overcome the grave and left sin in there buried. What took place after that? He went into hell. He went into hell, defeated hell, locked the gates, and came out and was seen. Now, if you're seen, we can't see spirits. Well, some of us. But not everybody can see spirits, right? So that's not going to do any good unless God give everybody that spiritual sight to where they can see. You couldn't handle the difference between heaven's spirit and Lucifer's spirit realm. You couldn't cope with it. That's why he blocks it. My belief is why he blocks it. You can't even deal with today, let alone be able to see demons walking past you, or walking towards you, or knowing the person that you're in a relationship with, or the person's your bestie of friends, or pure freaking evil. But let's think about this. Let's go backwards a little bit to where we just left off. Good, I'm glad you asked. Let's do it. Now, Jesus came out of hell, still beaten, battered. Jesus showed himself. Jesus said, what? Do not cling to me, for I have not yet been made new. So Jesus spent a little bit more time with them. Now, what happened? Jesus said, my time has come. Jesus was ascended back up to heaven. They watched him go. They watched him go. They touched him when he was back from the grave in hell. They touched him. So if they touched him and they watched him go, what is Jesus? Flesh. They touched him. They hugged him. Thomas touched his side, touched his hands. They touched him. He has to be flesh to be able to touch him. To watch him go up into the sky, he said, what? I shall go and I shall prepare a place for you and come back for you. We will see him again, the Bible speaks, standing on the clouds to receive all his people. That is yet not the second coming. The second coming will be when he is lowered. That would be his second coming. Because then he's going to rule everything on this earth. So those of you that come in doubt about what I speak about hell and being flesh, and you're going to remember everything there, you're not going to remember everything about people that you knew here, because God doesn't want you to be in pain and sorrow for them. You had your opportunity. You have your opportunity right now before it's too late. But you don't want to take the opportunity. So I guess you want to know my way of thinking about blasphemy of the Spirit is what you're doing when you reject it. So you're doubting what people are telling you. You're doubting the end time prophecies. You're doubting that Christ is going to come. You don't have enough faith to believe that he's coming, but you're going to believe because you're going to scramble. Not the sinners. You fake Christians are going to be the ones Revelation talks about hiding. Well, good. Who was the first two that hid from Jesus? Adam and Eve. You're right. Oh my gosh, you're so right. Where are you? Over here, hiding. Why are you hiding? Because we're naked. Who told you we're naked? Well, we took from the forbidden fruit that we wasn't supposed to eat of. The serpent convinced us. He just presented it. Oh, we got to be all-knowing. Well, if we're all-knowing, and we know that that takes place and people believe it, we also know where the first murder came from. It came from Cain and Abel. First sin was Adam, not Eve. Eve was disobedient, but Adam should have corrected her. Eve didn't know she was naked. If Eve knew she was naked, she wouldn't have surely brought the forbidden fruit she bit out of. She would have ran and hid then. Her eyes wasn't yet open until Adam took that forbidden fruit. Is why the devil leads what? The man out of the household. It's why he's leading the woman to take authority. Because it's all backwards. Not too many children fear their mother. You bring a father into the situation and they got fear in the household. The mothers today don't really stand up. They allow their children to get away with things. You look at this stuff that just happened on Facebook again. They told Mark Zuckerman to turn around and apologize to some of the families that went through this nonsense. Well, let me tell you right now, people. I mean, yeah, they're telling him to do it. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have done it. There's been nothing but trouble with Facebook in that, whatever that other thing that he started. The knockoff of Facebook. But let me tell you something. How is it his fault? If I read a sign, enter at my own risk, I'm taking responsibility. Where is the parents? I say put them on trial too. I'm not sticking up for Mark. I'm just saying, it's not all his fault. It's your dang parents' fault for not looking at what your children's doing. God's showing you warning. You want to blame someone else instead of blaming yourself. Who are you then, Lucifer? Everybody else's fault but yours. It's your fault your children are into this nonsense. It's your fault that your children are being deceived. Not Lucifer. No. Let's cast that off to the side. Because we all know what Lucifer is. Lucifer just presents the things to you. It's up to us to protect them. But not one time did I hear anybody say, well, I would expect Mark to turn around and go, what about you? Why are you not seeing this and keeping your children then from off of it? Instead, we hand them a tablet, we hand them a phone, and we say, here we go. From a young age, we're allowing it, we're saying it's okay. So you're saying the devil's ways is okay and God's ways isn't. Because that's exactly what we're saying. Instead of handing them that, hand them a easy-read Bible with pictures in it if they're young enough so they can follow along. You know, I remember growing up when we had the records and you had a storybook and you follow along, it would make a sound or whatever. The Star Wars one, R2-D2 would make a sound and I knew to turn the page. I didn't know how to read, but I knew that thing was reading and I could look at the words. I started learning what the words meant. By that. Not by school, not by a parent, not by anybody else, but by a book. If you open up the Bible, you're going to learn something. You're going to learn the true way to do something. And none of this nonsense that's going on. I'm floored by it. I truly am. And I'm not sticking up for Mark. I'm not sticking up for any social media site. I'm just saying, give me a break. 50%, yeah. He should be more responsible for the sharing and selling off stuff and whatever else he's been accused of doing. And some people say he's not human. Look, with the first trial, he was licking out of the cup with his tongue. I seen the video. Truly, he did do it. If he wants to do that, maybe people called him Lizard Man and all this stuff. I don't know what he is. I'm not going to cast judgment. I just think it's kind of weird. But then again, who am I? Maybe the things I do is weird to people. I'm not the judge. I've done that too much of my life. But you got to look at it. When do we start holding these parents accountable for what your kids are doing? I can't stop them, Nelson. Yeah, you can. What do you mean you can't stop them? You know why we can't stop them? Because we're allowing life to control what we do. We're allowing these, and I'm not talking about discipline here. I'm not talking about beating the living tar out of your child. It's, you even spank your child these days, and you got children's services and everybody else knocking at your door. Because some of you don't even know how to do it. There's no consequences to these children. You got nobody to worry about but yourself. You need to go look in the mirror. Again, God's warning, but we're not taking it. And then when your children fall away or get snatched off a street, then you want this social media and everybody to do something. You want to stand up there and cry. It's your fault too. Well, I have to work. I got to do this. Well, you're going to tell me you're never home when your children are home. I find that hard to believe. I really do find that hard to believe. Everything else is more important. Instead, kids are sitting at home on social medias, on their whatever they want to be on, watching videos, playing video games, have no responsibilities because we're not teaching them anything anymore. Well, can't get them to school, can't get them here, can't get them to a job, they can't do this, they can't clean, they can't cook, and then they can't do the... You know, the thing that really irritates me the most is when people tell you that when people are doing stuff. Are you convincing me, or are you trying to convince yourself? Because let me tell you right now, it's all a bunch of nonsense. You want to allow somebody to lay in your house and do nothing, then when you finally pass away, that person's going to be lost and confused and not know how to function in life. Those are the people that end up on the streets, end up in drugs, end up selling themselves, end up doing something. And all your babyfying stuff does nothing. Now, what if one of your children come back? Would you allow that? What if it's your grandchildren? Would you allow all your grandchildren to move in? Would you if you have a basement, would you put a bunch of cots and put divider walls up and give them their own little space and allow them to all do it while you're going to support it? If you say yes to any of this, then you're the problem. Do you have people in your house that this is happening and you make excuses? Half of them don't even know how to probably run a washing machine. Well, they don't know how to cook. Do they know how to bake cakes and stuff? Yes, well, they know how to cook. They can read the directions. They can read it off a box and do it and make it, and it tastes good. They can go in there and create their own. How, then, can you say they don't know how to do something? They just don't want to. I know people that will go out and say, well, we got to get back because we got to feed such and such. Are you kidding me? They're graduating from school, and give me a break. What are we doing here? You see, we are the blame. We allow social media, we allow all the devil's tricks and schemes to enter, and we make excuses. Well, then make your excuse. Do for one as you should do for all. Do not show favor. There's a Bible scripture that goes into this very thing. Pastor standing up there, a man walks in with a very expensive suit on, and there's somebody sitting in the front row, not so well dressed. And he makes that person get up and move to the back and lets that person come and sit where he is. Because they see wealth. So if they see wealth, what happens? They think they're going to get more money out of it, more tithing. Well, now let's just roll the dice. What if that person sitting on the front that came in with just a dress shirt on, a pair of nice blue jeans, tennis shoes? What if he's very wealthy but just doesn't care to dress like everybody else? Doesn't care how much money he has in the bank? It happens all the time. There's several actors you would never know that they had money because of the way they dress. Interesting, isn't it? So all these people that go and try to disprove that we go to one place or the other, well, then you're calling the Bible a lie. Think about it, people. Jesus ascended and they watched him go. The very same disciples that had problems believing. But look what they went out and did after they were filled with the Spirit in the upper room. Some people claim as soon as you get baptized, you're filled with the Spirit because of Jesus. That should be how it goes, but I don't believe it's necessarily that way. I believe the Spirit is sent and it watches, because we have no discipleship these days. We brag about how many people at a revival that got saved, but how many of them stay saved? How many of them fall back into their old ways? Again, our fault. You can't blame Lucifer, you can't blame anybody else, but you got to blame people, ourselves. We have to blame ourselves because we are not discipling these people that just received Jesus Christ. If we know the devil let him into the wilderness, what the world do you think he's going to do to someone just accepted Jesus? The same thing. But without anybody there to explain to them what happens, I'll tell you what happens. They end up right back into their same lifestyle. And then they walk away. So there you go. Congratulations. Brag about the number of people you saved. First of all, you pastors, you evangelists, you people holding these events, you better take you out of your mouth and say Jesus. Because you didn't save anybody. You brought them to come down to teach them how to accept Jesus into their life. That's the only thing you did. When I sit there and hear somebody, we saved, no, you didn't save nothing, because if you saved them, you would be out there discipling with them, making sure they stayed on that pathway. Well, I don't live around there, this and that. Well, you know what? Maybe it's about dang on time you started something. You like all them numbers you got. You like all them big events and stuff that you go to. You like speaking about stuff. Well, then why don't you start something? Because people are listening to you. You obviously got the numbers because some of you talk about your numbers. Some of you start off doing the right thing, and then you got to have the backdrops. You got to have this. You got to have that. You got to have... I mean, give me a break, people. Just be you. You don't have to act like everybody else. You don't. I went through and watched one person's video when they first started out. And again, I'm not saying anything, please, I'm not saying anything's wrong with what you're doing. But why do we think we have to look a certain way? Just do what you do. It's about God. It's about glorifying Jesus. It's about bringing the truth of what they gave you. When we get that right, the rest will fall into place. It will. You might not think so, but it will. Too worried about what everybody else thinks, how we have to look, how we have to dress.
3/4 of a mile, exit right.
I've done videos of my hair a mess. I could care less. You're not there to look at me. You're there to hear what God has, what the Lord's doing.
Speed warning. Winding road ahead.
It's amazing. Some of the stuff that you hear, you just... And then some days I wonder, going, I cannot be the only one thinking about this. I cannot be the only one sitting here going, yeah, why don't we blame these parents for not standing up and doing the right things too? How many of you parents pay these cell phone bills? Pay that internet? How many of you know that there's parental stuff that you can put on phones to lock your children out of certain sites? Sure don't do it. But how many of you want to hold a child for weeks on end, and take something from them, a phone, a video game, whatever it is. You want to take all that stuff away from them. And you keep it as collateral. Well, maybe God's going to do the same thing to you. He's going to hold you accountable until you start doing something right. Because you sure can punish your child. Well, you're going to punish yourself in hell. Because you're doing stuff out of spitefulness and hatefulness. Your child's not listening because they're learning it from you. You're too busy with your life. Don't worry about them. Really gets me is the ones that come against people and then they do exactly the very things that they come against. Blows my mind. Then how are you complaining about this person when you're doing the same thing? Devil's advocate's what you're doing. Talking about craziness and sickness. We allow so much nastiness to take place, people. But yet, we expect someone else to apologize. Okay, well, let me tell you. I'm going to apologize to your children right now. I'm going to apologize to your family members right now. I'm going to apologize to people you know right now that you're enabling to do whatever the nonsense that they're doing that's leading them into hell. There, I apologize for you. I love my child to death. You're damn right you are. You're loving him right into death. Right into it. Oh my gosh, she said the damn word. He's going to hell. Right? Well, speak a language, you have to get in someone's head. You got to wake them up. It's time to wake up, people. The alarm clock's going off. You're going to be late. You're going to be late for Jesus standing on that cloud, and you're going to regret it. Your children's going to turn around and look at you and go, why are we in hell, Mom? Why are we in hell, Dad? Well, I wasn't a dad. I'm sorry. I didn't stand up for the household. I was too busy doing my own things. Well, it's your mother's fault. Dad, it's your fault I'm in hell. Because you wasn't a dad. Yeah, I was. You were disobedient. I can't help it. You're old enough for your own action, your own responsibility in life. There's nothing I can do. You're old enough to make your own decisions. You know the difference between right and wrong. You know what you're lying about. You know the things that you did. And all you do is shove somebody out the door. Then you expect someone to be a part of your life. Well, I'm not going to be a part of that. You chose what you chose. Now lay with it. Doesn't mean I don't love. Doesn't mean I don't forgive. Doesn't mean I don't pray. It just means I'm tired of the same broken record. I can't do it anymore. I won't do it anymore. It's exhausting. Am I perfect? Nope. I try to be. Why? Because Jesus is perfect. Jesus brings His Spirit. And if He's perfect and God's perfect, then why can't I be perfect? Because I choose to allow the devil to distract me. It's true. He'll send these people into your lives that'll do stuff that'll just boil your blood. And then the next thing you know, you're having thoughts. Well, that's when you fall into the wrongfulness. You understand? That's when you're falling into failure. Right there, people. You open that door, and the rest is downhill from there.
Speed limit reduced ahead.
So, good luck. Go stand in the mirror, because
Safe warning.
whatever you allow into your household, anything you allow to take place, because our lives are too busy.
Keep right onto I-217.
Well, let me tell you, God has given you responsibilities. God doesn't give us anything we can't handle. But when something gets unruly and out of control, it's not God's fault. But He gets the blame for it. God, where were you? Sending angels to try to lead you out of that lifestyle. That's where I was. But you didn't listen. Oh. Well, I need help. I'm at the end of my rope. Yeah, you're right. But no matter what I try, you don't want to listen to me. No matter who I send, you don't believe it. You continue on the waste of path line that you're on.
Onto US 62 toward Grove City.
So whose fault is that? I hate when my nose does it. I'm trying not to crack my nose back there.
Right onto US 62.
I felt it pop and it went over. It hurts. Oh my goodness.
Speed limit reduced ahead.
But anyways, I'm explaining that because you know how people like to put their own thoughts into things. Was he picking his nose? No, I was not. I'm trying to get my nose back over.
Turn at the first
But again,
onto
my
US
own fault.
62
My own
toward
fault
Grove
these things
City.
happen. No one else. Mine. I put myself into that position for these things to happen. Well, there's my consequence. I got to deal with this every day. I just love when people tailgate you. We're so fast. So fast, moving so quick. We have time not to look around us. So take time today, people. Take time to see what's in front of you. Take time to see what's around you. Take time to examine yourself. Don't judge. Judge yourself. Examine yourself. Ask Jesus to examine you if you're not capable of doing it. That's all I can say. The time is narrowing down. That soon word that we always hear, I'm coming soon, I'm coming quickly. I believe we're here. Are you ready? Just a little nugget to think about. God bless you. Until the next one.